Welcome to the Vacation Races and Friends podcast, a podcast about events, travel, and the people who love both. Find more episodes at vacationraces.com. We are back for another race guide, but this time it's extra special. It is Trailfest 2020. We are so excited that we are going to be going forward with Trailfest, the Grand Circle Trailfest. And we're just like a week out from this. So it's going to be great. We're going to be headquartered in Kanab, and Dehn Craig, race director of the Grand Circle Trailfest, is with us today. And we're going to talk all things race guide. We got a lot going on. 3 days of amazing running, right, Dehn?
That's right. We're happy to be here. Trailfest of all of our 2020 events was probably the most, just because of, it's not just a running event. There's so many components and moving pieces that go into it that 2020 kept throwing curveballs at, but we dodged all of them, and here we are.
Yeah, it's really great. And Kane County out there has actually had very, very few cases of COVID-19. And so they're in a good position to have people come, and they've been having tourism and things have been open there. Restaurants are open. The hotels are all open. So Kanab's going to be just as beautiful as it always is for Grand Circle Trailfest. So 3 days is what we have for Trailfest. We're going to be running in Bryce Canyon, right outside of Bryce Canyon, right outside of Zion National Park, and right outside of Page, Arizona, right by Horseshoe Bend, next to the Navajo Nation down there in Arizona. So 3 days of running, 3 days of camping, 3 days of great music, entertainment, and just relaxing with our running buddies, our new running buddies and old running buddies. We have lots of people coming. How many people are we expecting at this one, Dehn?
Well, it's going to be a very intimate event compared to normal years. We only have about a third of our sellout, which is typical every year. We'll have about 600. And this year we're looking at about 230 is where we're at, just with people with travel concerns. Early on, were unsure what was going to happen and weren't comfortable with the risk, and so they deferred until next year. So we're left with about 230 runners. So it's going to be great.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, when we did Coastal Redwoods Trailfest, which we missed you at, Colleen.
Yes, I was.
But it was small numbers. It was a small event, but it was really great. Like, the whole atmosphere of Trailfest is really impacted by the number of people, and so small numbers is going to be a really friendly, intimate, we're all going to get to know each other and have a good time. So it's going to be fun.
I think that's my favorite part about Trailfest, is that you do get to know each other really well. Generally when I'm announcing races, I'm at a finish line for just a few hours, and I get to see people, over the course of that day. But to be able to see people at 3 consecutive finish lines and get to watch them have that experience every single day, we really do get to know each other. And we go back and we camp together, and we're there at the beautiful park, the Jacob Hamlin Park in Kanab. And it becomes a very family feeling event. It's really something that I look forward to every single year.
And Colleen's like our mother hen, or more like our cool big sister.
Cool. I like that. I'm like the cool big sister. I like that. I like that. This is better than the mother hen, though I'm kind of mother henish. I will agree. I'm a little bit mother hen. But we're going to have a great time. It's going to be awesome. It's all going to kick off on Wednesday with our bib pickup. And Dehn, how is that going to work?
Yeah, so Wednesday will be bib pickup and also campground check-in. And all of that's going to be at our festival headquarters at Jacob Hamlin Park in Kanab. So if anybody listening has a race guide, or if they want to reference anything. So on page 4, we've got an outline of the park and how we're going to kind of hijack it for the week and make it festival headquarters. Due to the low numbers and also the low regulations in Kane County and the extended hours for bib pickup, we're not too concerned about COVID precautions. For example, at other events, we've had to cancel expos and do drive-through bib pickups and things like that. But we are trying to service, over 1,000 people.
Right.
With small numbers, bib pickup will just kind of work as normal. And so we've got parking there by the park. Runners will come and pick up their bib and their race shirt, and also their Trailfest zip-up hoodie, sweatshirt, and then check into the camping with. It's all just going to be kind of tents in a row. Boom, boom, boom. And so we'll check in, and and get our gear and then be on our way. We'll have a few small vendors there. We'll be selling some merchandise. St. George Running Center will be there with any of their any running needs that you might have, nutrition, hydration, things like that. And then a couple other of our vendors. We'll have a few small vendor booths set up, and so that'll be on Wednesday from noon until 8 p.m.
Okay, so from noon to 8, you can come to that park there in Kanab. And that park is so beautiful. It's right at the end of the road. We're tucked up right against the mountain. And it's just a great location. You're going to love it when you see it. And that is where we're going to be. And so the same bib that you pick up, one bib, right, Dane? There, you don't have 3 different bibs. It's just one bib for the entire event.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure.
Just one bib, and we just keep track. We chips on the back of the bib. In a few instances, that bib just gets shredded. So try and take care of your bib. But also, if worst case, come back and we can reassign a bib. But we've seen those bibs take a beating and still record a time. So
they do. They work pretty well. So you're going to have the same bib all 3 days. So you'll pick that up on Wednesday, and we'll get you all checked in, whether you're camping or whether you're bringing your own RV or whatever you're bringing. You can have that, or if you're staying locally at hotels, we'll get you all set to go. And then Dane, kind of walk us through what the process is going to look like for all 3 days. Every morning is kind of the same as we head out to these different locations.
Yeah, the general flow of each day is going to be the same. So we'll wake up. We'll wake up a lot earlier than our runners will wake up.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about what time.
We'll have kind of a continental breakfast. We'll have like some a variety of things, some instant oatmeal, some peanut butter packets, bananas, hot chocolate coffee, yogurts, and bagels and things like that. Just kind of a variety of things.
Perfect grab and go options.
Not really a pancake breakfast because a lot of runners, nobody wants eggs and bacon and a stack of pancakes before the race. So kind of like pre-race, but still breakfast options. And so that'll be starting on page 2 and 3, we've got each day's schedule. And so at about 5 a.m. We'll kind of kick off breakfast. And so runners can come and help themselves to breakfast, and they can eat it, have it, and hit the road. And
that breakfast is going to be
every morning at 7:30.
Right at the pavilion there. The main pavilion that's right there in the park is where breakfast will be. So really easy to find. Right.
Yeah, the lights will be on. The only place where the lights will be on. Just follow the lights. Yeah, there at that north pavilion. So grab and go breakfast. You can stay and eat, or you can grab it and go, and either head down to the shuttle if you're taking the shuttle from Kanab, or get in your car and head to the designated parking lot for that day's race.
So you're talking about shuttles, and shuttles, people have already reserved their spots on the shuttles, right? They did that with registration?
Yeah, so if runners are riding a shuttle from Kanab, from the park to the race, and then back again to Kanab, they will have already signed up for that. That was part of the registration. And so it's not necessary. It was just optional for some people who maybe didn't want to take their own vehicle or couldn't for whatever reason. We recommend driving yourselves, just because once you finish the race, you've got all afternoon, before heading back to camp in the evening. And so if you've never been to Bryce Canyon, if you've never been to Zion, don't just run your mind seeing it all, because you haven't. There's tons more to see.
Yeah, so you can take the shuttle. There is a designated parking every single day at all the different locations, and all of that is detailed day by day in the race guide. And so it's pretty important that you make sure to grab a race guide, whether you print it off before you come and join us, or you grab one when you're with us at Bib Pickup, because that will kind of be your Bible for the whole entire time. And we have detailed instructions on how to drive there if you are driving yourself. But none of the driving is difficult. None of it's hard. People always worry that they're going to get lost. You've got 200 other people headed that same way, and some shuttles headed that same way. So it's pretty clear where we're going as far as driving directions. So everybody's going to get up and get out early in the morning. What should be like the last time? When should we depart from the park every morning? Does it change every morning, Dane, or is it pretty much the same?
It's pretty much the same. So every morning race start is 7:30 a.m. So for runners who are driving themselves, instead you'll park at the designated area, and then that's not right near at the start line. It is close but it's usually about a 5 minute shuttle ride from the parking to the start line. So with a 7:30 a.m. start time, and us using our start as kind of a rolling start, it's not everybody's going to start at 7:30. We're going to spread everybody out and stagger. Everybody should usually every day leave the park about 5:35 a.m. Definitely no later than 6 a.m. And so then every parking lot each morning is about 45 minutes to an hour from Kanab.
Yeah. So if you just plan that, get out early. And then again, once you get there, it's just going to be an open rolling start when you get to the start lines of these different locations. And we'll just get you out and get you on each day's course. And then we'll get you back. We'll get you back to your vehicle if you need to go back to your vehicle. And then if you have taken the shuttle and reserved a spot on the shuttle, you'll be taken back to Kanab. So it's really going to be pretty simple as far as that goes. But let's dive into kind of what each day is going to look like. First day, we're going to be in Bryce Canyon, actually right outside of Bryce Canyon in the Red Canyon area, Dane, on the Thunder Mountain Trail. This is an iconic trail in this area, heavily used by mountain bikers who come from all around the world to see it. We like to talk about how it looks just like if you've ever been on Thunder Mountain in Disney World or Disneyland, this is what it looks like for real, but it's like the real thing.
That's what it was named after.
It's amazing. And so you get to run through those hoodoos, and it's absolutely gorgeous at Bryce Canyon. So what are some of the things that are unique to Bryce, Dane, or that we need to remember with this leg?
The thing that I don't think we can stress enough is that day one is going to be your hardest day. I think every year runners underestimate just how challenging the Bryce Canyon course will be. Its beauty is definitely matched by its difficulty. It's a runnable course, but there's a lot of elevation gain. There's lots of climbing, which is usually followed by lots of descent, right? So you're climbing up and down a lot, and the terrain can be pretty technical. And so it's a very difficult, challenging course.
Yeah, and it's technical in that the climbs are more on the up and down kind of roller coaster kind of climbs rather than long, steady, sustained climbing. You've got a lot of like going up, 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 and then a sharp downhill, and they kind of roll and they kind of go. And surface area tends to be more loose rock on top of hard pack dirt because it is a mountain bike trail. And so it is very runnable. Most of it is on single track, and it's very well tracked out, and we'll have it very well marked for you as well. But it's just a little different. And I think the elevation is what really surprises people. You are about 7,500 feet to 8,000 feet above sea level. And so if you're coming from Florida, if you're coming from the Midwest, you're going to see the difference when you're up there at Bryce Canyon. And also, even though the temperatures might be in the 70s, 75 as your high temperature while you're running, the sun's really close up there at that elevation, and it does feel really warm. There's not a lot of tree cover and things like that. It's quite exposed as far as to the sun goes. So just keep that in mind. I know I always tell people when you're looking at running at elevation, just slow down. Just understand that it's going to feel different, and you're just going to need to slow down, drink up those electrolytes, make sure you have plenty of hydration because it is a lot drier here as well. And so just slow down and enjoy it and take lots of pictures, and we'll have a great day that day.
Yeah, you said it. It really is a great day, but it is hard, and it scares people. They're like, oh my gosh, what am I in for? It's definitely the hardest day. Day two, Wire Mesa at Zion, not nearly as difficult. You're not at elevation. And then day three, the same thing. It's a relatively flat course. And so, so Bryce is definitely our hardest day, most challenging day.
But that's why we get it out of the way on day one, right?
That's right. Yeah, we just hammer our legs on that first day, so we're ready to go for 2 and 3.
It'll be good.
It's good what you said about the elevation too, because I think that's something that people don't expect. We always talk about how beautiful the weather is in southern Utah this time of year, and it is. But again, in Bryce, we're at elevation. That start line is going to be chilly, but then once that sun comes up, it feels like it's right there, and so that adds to the experience also.
And you talk about a chilly start at Bryce. We've had some quite chilly starts at Bryce Canyon, but we always have gear check available for runners. So if you want to wear some extra layers, if you're coming off the shuttle, and remember, we do have a rolling start, so there's not going to be a lot of waiting around as far as for your start, but we will have a gear check bag that you can use at the start that we'll take to the finish line for you. If you wanted to put some warm clothes in there or some dry clothes, something like that, we'll be able to transport that for you to the finish line from any of the start lines on any of the days. But Bryce Canyon tends to be our coldest. Well, it's just at elevation, so it is our coldest start. It doesn't look like it's going to be super duper cold. We haven't had super duper cold high elevation weather in southern Utah, but you never know what happens up there. So just plan for it and use that gear check bag as we have it. So Bryce Canyon going to be about 12 and a half miles, just under 12 and a half miles that day. And our cutoff time is 4.5 hours on that course, which gives you a 20-minute mile. That's kind of the lowest pace you can have. So a 20-minute mile pace, we'll be able to finish it by the cutoff. Cutoffs don't start until the last runner crosses the start line. So if you are worried about cutoffs, it's always great to make sure to get there a little bit earlier and start in that rolling start a little bit earlier so that you can get out there. Anything else you can think of with Bryce Canyon, Dane?
No, but since you mentioned cutoffs, so the way that we'll be enforcing the cutoff is actually at the aid station. So although we have for Bryce, we have a 4.5 hour cutoff, we'll have a drop dead time at our aid station, and we'll base that off of when the last runner starts. The aid stations are the most accessible, easy for us to extract runners. And so if you get to that aid station at that cutoff time, and that changes each day, and it'll actually vary a little bit depending on when our last runner starts. But if you get to that aid station after that cutoff time, then we'll put a blanket around you and make sure you get your aid station supplies, and we'll escort you to the finish line.
Yeah, so at Bryce Canyon, that aid station mark that you're looking for is at 7.5, one aid station at Bryce Canyon. So about 7.5-ish. That's where you need to make sure that you are on pace at that point and get through there, or else we'll just take you back to the finish line after 7.5 miles. So what are we going to see at those aid stations? There's one aid station on every single course. What are we going to see there?
Aid stations will be stocked with what you'd expect: water, gnarly electrolyte drink. We'll have restrooms there. We'll have Honey Stinger energy gels. But at Trailfest, we also we kind of pamper our runners a little bit. In fact, we've had some runners just kind of post up and feast, which isn't the intent. But
buffet style, right?
Yeah, we try and do. So the Trailfest is kind of a sampling of our ultras. We have 3 ultra races at Antelope Canyon, and at Zion, and at Bryce Canyon. And at an ultra aid station, if you're running an ultra marathon or a 100-mile or a 50-mile, the aid stations, you need more than just water and electrolyte drinks, right? You're out there for hours, and so they're usually stocked with like some sweet and salty snacks, like some candies, some pretzels, maybe some pickles, and we'll even be out there cooking bacon and quesadillas and things like that.
So
at
good.
An ultra,
it's so
like
good.
Ramens,
Yep.
soup broth, things like that to kind of sustain people. And so this being a trail run, we kind of want to keep a little bit of that, but it's almost like an ultra aid station light. So we'll still have, again, your water, gnarly electrolyte drink, Honey Stinger energy gels, and then we'll also have some sweet and salty snacks, some goodies, and then like really simple, some fresh fruit and some simple carbohydrates like either peanut butter and jelly sandwich squares or Nutella and tortilla strips, which I gotta say, I think the ultras was the first time that I was like, okay, Nutellas and tortillas. It seemed like it was just a vehicle to get
more
nutrients.
Nutella into your body, right?
But then I did it, and I was like, this
Is
we're
amazing.
onto something here. Like I do it all the time just as a snack.
Well, I actually had one of our runners reach out to me on social media saying, hey, I'm coming to Trailfest. I know COVID-19 has changed some things, but are you going to have Nutella and tortillas? I need to know, because if you don't, I'm going to bring my own. So it's something that if you haven't tried it, give it a shot.
Yeah. So there'll be a little bit more. And again, it's different miles. If you're new to trail running, the miles that you're putting in are different. They're going to be about the same as a half marathon. But I don't know, a mile on the trails is very different from a mile on the road. And so when you get to that aid station, I mean, this might sound like overkill, and it is, to be honest. The aid station is a little overkill. It's not anything that you need to get you to the finish line, but it's a welcome sight. So that's what they can expect at our aid station.
That's why we love it. And with COVID-19, our volunteers will be taking precautions, wearing gloves, wearing masks at those aid stations. And so, we're doing everything that we can to keep our runners safe as far as that goes. And make sure you do have your own hydration, because vacation races, everything we do is cup free. We're making a little more garbage these days with COVID-19 just because there's a lot of things we can't reuse. Just trying to keep everybody's safety in mind. But we do encourage you to have your own hydration pack, especially being able to carry enough water, because again, you're not going to have that aid station until you're at 7.5. And so you want to make sure that you are able to sustain yourself until you get to that aid station and then fill up once you're at the aid station. All right. So Bryce Canyon, it's going to be great. It's going to be hard. It's going to be beautiful, but it's going to be a good time. And after the finish, you'll can go into Bryce Canyon. My family was just in Bryce Canyon. We took our kids into Bryce Canyon just over Labor Day weekend. It's such a great park. If you've never been to Bryce Canyon, please drive in and make sure you spend some time in Bryce. It's an easy park to go and see, even if you don't want to do a lot of hiking, because most of everything you can see from the top or the rim of Bryce Canyon. And if you do have the chance in the legs, you can get down and inside with some short hikes that just take you into the beautiful amphitheater that is Bryce Canyon. So don't just try to get back to Kanab really fast. That's why we don't have any festivities or anything until a little bit later in the day, because we want you to get out to these beautiful national parks and go and visit them and see them. So, and Bryce Canyon is definitely one you do not want to miss. So, yeah, day one, it's going to be great. 12.7 miles, Red Canyon, Bryce Canyon area. And before we go into the festival stuff, let's talk about day two and kind of stay with the courses, Dane, and then we'll swing back to like the festival and what's going to happen every night. So day two, we're going to be just outside of Zion. This is a change in the course from last year. So if you ran with us last year, a little bit of a change, but we think you're going to like the change. So tell us about it, Dane.
Zion's a tricky one because there's so many great trails to choose from. Right. Bryce, the 12.7 miles that we've selected are the home run miles. They're the obvious miles to run. And Zion there's so many different trails that give you different views of Zion, the main Zion Canyon, but also the surrounding area and the mesas and the valleys and the Virgin River and the way it cuts through and down to Hurricane in that area. And so it's always a little bit of a battle for us to decide which ones to do. In the past, we've done Gooseberry Mesa, which is beautiful. You feel like you're on top of the world. Very panoramic views of the entire area. Lots of slick rock. And last year we did Wire Mesa, which I personally love. The runnability of Wire Mesa, the weave and flow of the trail is great for experienced trail runners, but especially for new trail runners. And I really like the views that it gives you of Zion Canyon. Like they're a little more intimate and feels a little closer, and even like really well framed with the trees and bushes on Wire Mesa. So we're doing Wire Mesa again this year. We park right at the start line, and the only change from last year was we ran down Smithsonian Butte, which is a really wide dirt road, for about 2 miles, which is great views on the way down, but it is an open road, and so it felt a little less like trail running. And so anyway, you drop down those 2 miles to the Wire Mesa trailhead. We're going to run Wire Mesa, and then we're going to this year finish at the trailhead. So our aid station has been moved out to one of the points out on Wire Mesa, and the finish will be at the trailhead. Whereas last year, the aid station was right at the trailhead. They hit it twice, and then they had to climb back out, which I personally underestimated how much people would loathe the climb back out.
It is a really, really steep climb out.
It is.
It's not a trail running.
Climb out.
You can drive it in a vehicle, but it is a very steep climb out.
It's just 2 miles of climb. It's pretty steep, but it's just sustained for
a
2
long
miles.
time. Yeah.
And like I said, it's open. And so at that point in the day, when you're finishing your race, like there could be ATVs or other vehicles coming down, kicking down dust. And so it was not a great experience. So we've just nixed those last 2 miles is what we did.
And really, I think you've hit a home run with how you've done it, because you've got that nice warm up miles headed down to the mesa, and the mesa itself, absolutely gorgeous. It's a big loop all around this mesa. And like you talked about, you get beautiful views. There's a beautiful canyon to one side. You get some slick rock in there, but it's very, very flowy single track. I've run it many times, and it really is a treat. And it's someplace I don't get out to as often. It's not a really well used area when you look at Gooseberry, people are always up on Gooseberry, but they kind of don't get down to Wire Mesa. So it's kind of a little hidden gem around here that has amazing views, and you guys are really going to love it out there.
Yeah, no, it's great. And the first 2 miles, although they are on dirt road and less trail, it is dirt road, and they do even have great views, I think. And then it's going to be a great way to just kind of thin everybody out. So once we hit that single track of Wire Mesa, it'll be it won't be crowded or congested. So
yeah, and Wire Mesa is a big loop down there. Are we going clockwise or counterclockwise on that, Dane?
We are going counterclockwise.
Okay, so counterclockwise. So you're going to hit the views, all those views of the canyon first, and then you're going to come out and you're going to see Zion Canyon in the background, and then you're going to swing back around to that finish line, and then we'll shuttle everybody back from that Wire Mesa parking area where you'll finish back to their cars up at the start line.
Right. So again, compared to last year where the start and finish was in the exact same spot, this time the finish will be 2 miles away. So they won't have to ride a shuttle to the start. They'll park and they'll be right by the start line. But then from the finish, we'll just have a short 2-mile shuttle ride back up the hill to where they parked.
And you'll be so excited when you're driving back in that vehicle up the hill thinking, I don't have to run up this hill. It's going to be great. It's going to be good. So Wire Mesa, going to be beautiful. Again, one aid station out there. Same cutoff supply on this one with the aid station, Dane?
Yep. So the aid station, like I said, will be out at the point. So mile 7.3. And the whole course of day 2 is only 10.4 miles. So that aid station is a little bit later in there, but same cutoff supply, and we'll just treat it the same way as we did Bryce.
So rolling start when you get there, we'll get you out on the course as soon as you're ready to go, and you'll get done. And day 2 will be gorgeous. And then you can go and have plenty of time to explore Zion if you'd like to go into Zion Canyon. If you are planning to go into the canyon at Zion, we do recommend that you kind of check in first. They do get very busy in there. They have a shuttle system in order to get up into the canyon. So if you want to go into Zion, it would serve you well to check out their website and exactly where you want to go in the process of getting in and out. So, and
then two quick pro tips also for day 2. So where we run on Wire Mesa, there's 2 shortcuts to get from there over to SR9, the main highway that runs up to Springdale and the main entrance to Zion. And so that road that you run down to Wire Mesa, you can keep taking that road and it will go all the way through and spit you out at Rockville, which is a little tiny town on the way to Zion. And so it'll put you out on the main highway, and then you turn right, and then you just head up to Zion. That road, just depending on, it can be rough. It's not maintained. Sometimes it gets really rutted out. So if you're in a vehicle with high clearance, or if you're in a rental that you've got the collision insurance coverage on,
you're good to go.
Then you're good to go. Otherwise, we recommend just heading back out to the main highway that we're going to come in on. Head back to that highway, take a right, and then you're going to take another right on a road called Sheep Bridge Road. And that's a dirt road also, but it's more groomed and well maintained. And that'll cut straight across and put you out in a town called Virgin, which is just a few miles down from Rockville on Highway 9. And so then so those 2 roads cut through the 2 highways of Highway 9 and what highway is that? 80? What's that highway that we come in on?
Oh, 89. That's 89A that we come in on.
89A, that's right. So the road that you'll be driving to the start line from Kanabon and Highway 9, which runs to the main canyon of Zion, they run parallel to each other. And these 2 roads cut through and get you to Highway 9. So once you get to Highway 9 to Springdale, which is a great little gateway community to Zion National Park, and then the main canyon of Zion National Park. So like Colleen said, it gets really busy. But even if all you do is drive through, you can take the scenic drive through the canyon, up through Mount Carmel Tunnel, which is really awesome, and then up to the east side of Zion. And then that spits you out of the east entrance, and then you follow that all the way down to 89, which then runs right back to Kanab. And so rather than going back the way you came and heading straight to Kanab, if all you can do is drive through Zion, that's the way we recommend doing it. It'll
for
save
sure.
you time and show you the beauty of Zion really up close. And then it's a real direct route from there right back down to the headquarters at Kanab.
Yeah, and if you do want to go and experience Zion Canyon, there is a shuttle system from the visitor center that you have to take. You cannot drive into Zion Canyon. You can ride bikes into Zion Canyon, but you can't drive into there. You have to take the shuttle, and the shuttle leaves from the visitor center. So making reservations on that shuttle early before you get there would probably be your best bet if you're looking to see Zion Canyon, or if you're interested in seeing the Zion Narrows or anything like that. That's how you're going to get there, is by shuttle. But the east side of Zion is beautiful. Definitely go that way. And yeah, Crybaby Hill. That's what it's called. The shortcut into Rockville is called Crybaby Hill. So
Yeah.
high clearance would be good for you. We drove up it in our truck not too long ago, and it's really nothing bad. If you're not used to driving on those kinds of roads, you may want to take Sheep Ridge around. But if you're comfortable, you get some clearance. It's a nice shortcut that's going to save you a lot of time.
I feel like this is an important time to remind people that if you're driving yourselves, in the race guide, we have like very detailed, simple instructions to get to the start line, and we recommend following those. I can't tell you how many times we've been at the start line and seen a car coming up the course, and I'm like, what are these people doing? And they get to us and they're like, is this where the race is? And I'm like, yeah, where did you come from? They're like, well, I just put Zion in my GPS.
Mm-hmm.
And
Don't
so
do
they
that.
went the reverse of that way
Yeah.
that I just told you. They went from Kanab up to Zion National Park, and they got there and they're like, well, where is everybody? Well, I don't know. Let's keep driving. And they drove through Zion, came out, and were like, I still don't see anybody. And they just kept driving until they eventually found us, which is great that they found us. But, don't give yourself the unnecessary stress and headache. Just follow the driving directions that are in our race guide.
Yeah, don't rely on GPS either. Sometimes service can be a little spotty, so just make sure that you follow our directions. All right, so that wraps up our Zion day. Day number 2, 10.5 miles on that, out on beautiful Wire Mesa. And then we have day 3. Little change on day 3 as well, but I love this change, Dane, because we're running on one of my favorite 10-mile loops in Page, Arizona.
I know. Every time you use the word backup course or alternate course, there's obviously some stigma that goes along with that, right? Like it sounds like a bad connotation, like, oh boy, this is what we're, resigned to. But in this case, that's really not what we're dealing with. This alternate course is beautiful, beautiful. It's great trail for running, and the views are spectacular. So a little bit of context, our day 3, we call it a horseshoe bend day, and the race guide, we still refer to it as that because the intent for day 3 was to run on Navajo land, up and just right along the rim of Horseshoe Bend. And then you traverse the desert and then drop into Waterhole's Slot Canyon. And then we run up Waterhole's Slot Canyon and then end near a hogan on the property of a friend of ours. And so it's great. It's spectacular. I'm really sad that you guys aren't going to get to run Horseshoe Bend or up Waterholes.
You'll have to come back. You'll just have to come back.
Yeah, you'll have to come back and run Trailfest with us again, or come. If this is your first time trail running and you get the itch and you want to up your game a little bit and try a 50K or a 50 mile or something like that, come back and run our Antelope Canyon race some year. But this year, the Navajo Nation has been hit by COVID really, really hard, and it's impacting the tribal members in a really bad way. And so Parks and Rec, none of their parks are open, which Horseshoe Bend and Waterholes are both a part of. And so obviously following their lead and also being, out of respect for them and their concerns in the situation that they're in, we're not running that course, obviously. So our alternate course, our backup course, is the Page Rim Trail. So the city of Page, which is right in that area, is up on top of this plateau. And the Page Rim Trail is exactly what it sounds like. It's this great trail that just circumvents the entire perimeter of the city of Page. So on the one side, you're overlooking Glen Canyon and Lake Powell, which is just stunning, right? The water contrasted with the red and white rocks. And then in the distance, you see Tower Butte, which is really cool.
Navajo Mountain. You can see Navajo Mountain.
Navajo Mountain's out there, and that's great. So you got some really great iconic peaks and landscape to look at. And then on the back side of the Page Rim Trail, you can see that these are much further in the distance, but you can kind of see the way the Colorado River carves its way through the landscape you can't quite make out Horseshoe Bend, I don't think, but you can kind of see that direction and just see it going off into the distance as it makes its way to forming the Grand Canyon,
Yeah.
which I always really like. I mean, you've got Marble Canyon down there much further in the distance, but it's kind of like standing at the beginning of what you know is something just
Incredible.
epic and
Yeah.
awe-inspiring, incredible down the road. It feels like kind of, I don't know. There's something about standing at the entrance to all that I really like.
And you
so
can see
you can
the
see that.
Vermilion Cliffs down on that
Yeah, you
side.
got the Vermilion
So
Cliffs National
beautiful.
Monument down there that you can see. So great views, great trail. So that one's going to be 12.7 miles. And this one will be great because there's parking right near where our start and finish is. And so we've got the Navajo Village Heritage Center, which is a really neat little kind of historical site. They use it to educate people on the culture and heritage of the Navajo people. And so we'll start right in there by the Hogans and then run up. So we'll cross over a little bit of sand and slick rock to get up to the Page Rim Trail. And there's a short, steep climb to get up to the mesa. But once we're on the trail, then it's relatively flat. It's kind of rolling. The trail rolls, but it doesn't have significant climbs or drops.
And it's not technical. I wouldn't call Page Rim technical. It's really nice single track to run.
Yeah, it is very runnable. And then right there at the very end, we're going to drop right back down that same couple hundred feet that we climbed up at the beginning. And then we'll end at it's called Page Shores Amphitheater, but it's this really cool natural rock amphitheater. It's a really cool place to finish the race.
This is, again, like you said before, you say like backup course or secondary course. No. Get that out of your mind. This is like grade A course. It's really, really beautiful. It's just different from the other course. Every time I go to Page, when we go for an event, I run this Page Rim Trail every single time because it's just one of my favorites. So you guys are really going to enjoy it out there. One aid station out there as well. What mile does that aid station come at, Dane?
Mile 6.4.
Okay, so about 6 miles in. So every day you just got to make sure you can self-support yourself for anywhere between 6.5 and 7.5 miles. Just be able to self-support on that. And then we'll have the same aid station there, same cutoff situation going on Horseshoe Bend. And day 3 is always so much fun because to watch people be able to accomplish something that they maybe didn't think they could do. On day 1, maybe Bryce was hard for them. And then day 2, they had some fun in Zion. And then they're thinking, I got to run another 12 miles. And to see them accomplish that it really makes for a great day. And with the backdrop of the Page Shores Amphitheater, it's going to be a great celebration. So look forward to day 3. And then after day 3, you can kind of hang out in Page for a little while. There's things to do. You talked about Horseshoe Bend being closed, but what we're talking about is the Navajo land that is Horseshoe Bend. There is other access to Horseshoe Bend that is part of, is it a national monument, Dane, or what is its designation?
So Glen Canyon's a national recreation area, and that's Lake Powell. And Glen Canyon manages the Horseshoe Bend area also. So there is parking and a short trail that walks you up and drops down into the viewpoint of Horseshoe Bend. So that's all operated by National Park Service with Glen Canyon National Recreation Area.
So that is open. Yeah.
Open.
Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely go and you can see Horseshoe Bend. It's absolutely beautiful. You can also go in Glen Canyon Dam. You can see the Glen Canyon Dam. That is accessible as well. And you drive over it to get into Page. And so you'll be able to see the dam and Lake Powell. You can even go take a dip in the lake if you want.
Yeah, which I strongly recommend. I love Lake Powell. And it will be, I think, warm enough. You'll probably be hot after the end of that. Just go take a dip. The dam is visible, and also obviously we'll drive over the bridge with a good view of it. But the dam itself, I think, is currently closed. So no dam tours or anything like that.
Those dam tours, they're just closed this time. My kids love to go on the dam tour because they want to talk about the dam tour. So it's quite a joke in our family. So let's transition, Dane, and from talking about our 3 different courses to talking about what it's going to look like back at the park. When we get back every night, what can we expect? We have some fun things that are on the schedule. How's it going to look? What are we eating for dinner? And how's it all going to go?
So it's tricky, right, Colleen? We've talked about this a lot, but the Trailfest, we're trying to strike this balance between, everybody comes for these locations. A lot of people have never been to these places before. And so we have resources and information that make sure that you can see as much or as little of these places as you want. But we really encourage people to go and explore and see more of Bryce Canyon and Zion. But at the same time, we want to keep you engaged and entertained. So we're always trying to strike that balance between scheduling things that are going to keep you entertained when you're back at the festival, and not over scheduling too much so that you're not trying to decide between, but if I stay and do this hike in Zion, I'm going to miss this thing back at camp. So
shall we just say always do the hike in Zion? Like, always do that. Don't say, I got to get back to camp.
We've got some great things, but honestly, my personal opinion, we're not doing anything back there that would be worth missing the beauty of these areas. And so if you're trying to decide between the two, I'd say you will not regret going and doing one more hike or going to one more lookout. But obviously people, we're not all go. Some people most of us run 12 miles and then we're like, okay, let's go take it easy.
I'm ready to relax, do some yoga, right?
Yeah. So we've got things back in Kanab at the campground and at Festival HQ. And those usually kick off around kind of 2-3 o'clock. So at about 3 o'clock we'll start having yoga sessions every day. So we have yoga at 3 and at 4 there in the park. Typically we have like a whole recovery area where our yoga, we typically have massage, which we do not have this year just because of the contact.
Sure.
Right? We're trying to minimize. But what we do have is elevated legs. So they've come in years past, but they're like those boots,
compression boots.
Yeah, compression boots that alternate hot and cold and kind of
massage the legs, all the lactic acid up. They're the best, Dane. Yeah. Clearly you've not sat in them for long enough. They're amazing.
I understand the science of it, but I can't speak from experience.
Oh, you know what? We're going to have to get you in a pair of those. We'll take you over there and have John hook you up because they are incredible.
Well, this year we're going to hook everybody up. So usually John comes and he does his booth, and if people want to pay for a session, they can. Whereas massage was provided for people. But this year, since we don't have the massage, then we'll just have sessions for anybody that wants to go. John's going to be there set up with all of his compression boots, and you can sign up and take your turn to.
I've changed my mind, Dane. Instead of going on that extra hike, come back and sit in John's trailer in the boots because they're amazing.
There you go. Yeah, those will be there in the afternoon, as well as yoga, some other things to help you stretch and relax and just kind of enjoy. It's beautiful weather out there. You're in this park. It's a great environment to kind of recover and just and spend some time. Another thing too, a lot of times we'll get questions from people saying, "Hey, I'm traveling alone. Is that weird? Do people do that?" People do that all the time. They come run Trailfest by themselves. In fact, even people that don't run by themselves, one of the biggest reasons that they provide us for why they register for the event was to meet new people and to have these experiences. But ironically enough, like, we get there, and unless we're the really outgoing personality types, we don't create those opportunities for ourselves. And so this atmosphere at Trailfest it's friendly. We want everybody to kind of interact, mingle, get to know each other, right? We all share a lot of the same passions, the outdoors, running. We're kind of like-minded people about those things. And so everybody comes alone, but be sure and make friends. And so the campground and the park is the perfect atmosphere to do that.
Yeah, it really does lend itself to that. So if you're coming alone, no fear at all. You will definitely leave with some friends, even some friends that I mean, I've seen people who have come to Trailfest and they make lifelong friends that they go other places and they meet people that they now have contact with on a regular basis. So it's there. The opportunity's there for you.
So yoga, compression boots, elevated legs. We'll have live music each afternoon. Nothing, we didn't unfortunately book U2 or anything like that, but some local musicians that will be there, just kind of providing some atmospheric music. They're really good. They'll be great to have there. And then at about 5, we'll start dinner, and that'll run until about 7 o'clock. So 5 to 7 are our dinner hours, and that's just buffet style. Just come and we'll have servers there, obviously, so that you're not having contact with the food, but it's controlled by people serving you the food.
And dinner every night, there will be a vegetarian option, as well as just a regular option. So if you do have any dietary restrictions, you might need to take that into consideration just as you're coming. The nice thing about Kanab is Kanab itself has a lot of different options within the city. It's kind of really unique that way, just Kanab is. So there are a
Yeah, for
lot of
such a
different
small
options.
town,
Yeah.
two very eclectic options. There's some very vegetarian, vegan, friendly restaurants that are delicious. Peekaboo Kitchen is great. And then there's, some Mexican restaurants and, yeah, there's a variety of options. So if we don't meet your dietary needs, there's lots of options
Yeah.
in town.
Yeah, you'll be able to do
You can
that.
see on page 6 of the race guide is where we've got the menu, each night's menu. So including Wednesday night from 5 to 7, we will have buffet dinner each night.
And I always love to know what's for dinner because as I'm announcing during the day, that's how I get you through the finish line, is telling you what you can eat for dinner every single night, because that becomes like the best topic that we talk about. So we're going to have some great options Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and of course Saturday night. So get ready for that. And
Food.
again, as Dane said, with COVID-19 precautions, it is buffet style, but we're going to have people who are going to be serving you that food. So, we're taking all those precautions. We also ask that you wear masks while you're there at the festival and gathered around people and things like that, just to keep everybody safe and, make sure that we're doing our part that way.
So also because of COVID, we have canceled the beer garden this year. There wasn't just not really a way that we could have that many people in close proximity and serving alcohol and everything like that it would work. So no beer garden this year, but dinner is going to be delicious. It's actually being catered by the mayor of Kanab.
What? The mayor?
He owns a restaurant called Houston's.
I've been there many times.
Yeah. And so the mayor himself is catering.
Kanab's a great place. I mean, it really is a cool little town, and the people there are so welcoming. You're really going to enjoy it. So that's going to be a treat for us to have him with us. So no beer garden, but again, there's plenty of restaurants and other places in Kanab if you are looking for a drink or something like that they can accommodate you and take care of that. What about alcohol inside the park, Dane? If somebody was like, can I go buy my own beer and bring it to the campground? What are the policies?
So there are 2 policies at the park that we need to adhere to, and one is no dogs in the park, and the second is no alcohol in the park.
Okay.
So there's alcohol served, and you can purchase it anywhere in Kanab, but in the park itself, there is no alcohol.
Okay, and no dogs either. So if you were planning to bring your furry friend to camp with you and things like that, that is not, the dogs are not allowed in the park. So we definitely want to comply with that because it is such a beautiful park and we want to be able to come back year after year. So we're going to have dinner every night about 5, and then we kind of get into a little bit of our evening entertainment and kind of our preparation for the next day for our evening schedule. So what do we have on tap for that, Dane?
Let's just go day by day because that'll probably be easier for me to keep track of it.
Great.
So each night, like you said, we'll have a little bit of entertainment, whether it's a presentation or a speaker, or a film viewing or things like that. And they all kind of surround our main nightly meeting that we'll be conducting. So each night we'll have a meeting where we go over awards for that day's race, top 3 in male and female. So we'll have awards for that day's race. We'll give a little bit of historical and geological background to the area that we'll be running in the next day, as well as a course overview where we'll answer questions, talk about kind of what to expect and how to prepare for the next day. And so that'll be nightly. So on Wednesday night at 5:30 p.m., we'll kind of kick things off with our welcome meeting and kind of our event overview, and then do a deep dive on Bryce Canyon. So everybody kind of is on the same page and knows what to expect. And so Wednesday night, we're going to keep it pretty easy. Usually everybody wants to get to bed early because they got the jitters. They're nervous. And then after they get the first day out of the way, they realize, hey, I'm going to be okay. I realized how this works. And then they stay up past 7:30 p.m.
7:30, and they're ready to have some fun with us.
Yeah. So the first night, 5:30 p.m., we'll do our welcome and our overview and a deep dive. So you'll want to be there for that. Thursday night at 5:30 p.m., we have a speaker, Krista Sadler, who's going to give a presentation that she calls Life of Stone. And it's a great presentation. You want to be there for that.
Yeah, she's an author and a geologist, and she has got some cool research that she has done.
Oh, yeah. So she'll be great. So she's going to be at 5:30. And then following her at 6:30 is when we'll start our nightly, we'll do our Bryce Canyon Awards and kind of do our overview and deep dive on the next day, which is going to be Zion. And then that night, dinner ends at 7, and then that night at about 7:30, we've got a guy coming, a Dark Ranger presentation. He's kind of a quirky guy, but I really like him. He really gets into this presentation about like the galaxy and the stars and the planets, and
beautiful pictures that he brings. And then
yeah,
he brings these giant telescopes. Last year we were able to see Saturn. Like I saw the rings on Saturn through his telescope. It was so
yeah,
cool.
which is the first time I ever saw the rings of Saturn. Like you see pictures of it and illustrations of it, and you know Saturn has rings. But the first time you see the rings through a telescope it's like, whoa, that they're really there. There they are.
Yeah,
That was really cool.
It's very cool. So definitely stay up that night so that at least you can look through the telescopes, and hopefully we have a cloudless night. And Kanab is such a great place for viewing those kinds of things because it is a dark sky city. And so you'll notice that it is quite dark in Kanab at night because they keep all that ambient light they limit that so that you can view the sky. So that's a great one. So that's Thursday night, 7:30. Every night, quiet hours begin at 10 o'clock. So that's when everybody needs to wrap up things. No partying in your tent past 10. And so what do we have on tap for Friday?
So then Friday at starting at 6 p.m., we will have our friends over. They actually live in Page. Moss runs he inherited it, I think, from his family, and he runs that Navajo village, the Heritage Center, where we'll be starting the race on Saturday. But he and his brother actually do a really cool cultural presentation. They do Navajo hoop dancing and give a little bit of context and education on the Navajo people and their culture and what the hoop dancing signifies. And
they are Tomas is a world champion in hoop dancing, which I didn't even know was a thing. Yeah. And then you see him do what he does. The dance is absolutely phenomenal. So everyone loves that. Make sure you bring your camera. Bring a good camera or you've got something because you definitely want to take that home and show everybody.
Yeah, so Friday night we'll do that at 6, which will roll right into our awards from that day's race at Zion, and then our deep dive into the next day's race out at Page.
Great. So that's going to be a great night on Friday. And then Saturday night, make sure you stay with us,
Sorry, Colleen, going back to Friday. So after dinner and everything, we will have, we're going to do a film screening.
How did I miss that one?
There's just a trail running film festival.
That's always a fun night too.
So just right there at 7:30, once it gets dark. And so it's just a short film festival with, real short films about trail running and different people and their experiences and stories and things they've overcome and unique places they've run. And it's just kind of a, variety of short stories. So we'll show that at 7:30 on Friday night as well.
Yeah, the nights are my favorite at Trailfest because everybody's kind of relaxed and they're just hanging back and getting to know each other and enjoying these different things that we have. And then on Saturday, I always want to tell people, don't leave on Saturday after we run. Stay with us because it's still a great night. We have a great night on Saturday night.
Yeah, a lot of people have to take off. They've got a flight early Sunday morning, so they try and get back to Vegas, which is understandable. But we still got a lot lined up for Saturday night, and Saturday night's really the best because there's all the pressure and nerves of the races is just gone, and everybody is just relaxed and can cut loose a little bit. And so it's a fun night. So at 5:30 p.m. on Saturday we'll do our awards from that day's race. And then also our cumulative overall awards from the 3 days.
And before we get into awards, we have Sunny Storer. She's going to be speaking on Saturday night at 4:30.
Yes. My goodness.
I know
we're all over the place.
We're all
It's a good thing we have this in a race guide that runners can reference.
Well, there's just so much to talk about. We said that we're like limiting it, but we're giving you so many different options. So Saturday, we're going to start out with Sunny. She's going to speak to us. She's an endurance specialist and an ultra runner. She's done some pretty incredible races and events and just
she holds some accolades and awards.
Yeah,
and
so
records.
She'll be with us on Saturday, and you'll get to hear from her at 4:30. Then we're going to go into our award ceremony for the day, as well as our overall awards for the entire Grand Circle Trailfest, and that's going to start at 5:30.
Yep, and so we'll do that, kind of wrap things up, and this is all while dinner's going on. And then after we do our overall awards, we've got Stone Company live music playing. They're they're a local band, but they kind of play, they've got like the mouth harp and a washboard and like all kinds of
I like that they call it
instruments.
In their bio, it's a potato music trio. I've never heard what potato music is. I thought, do they play potatoes? But they don't.
No, potatoes surprisingly are not as
Mm-hmm.
sound conducive as you would imagine they
No,
would be.
yes, they're not. But yeah, these guys are great. It's like a Euro-American kind of, you know, grassroots kind of music. So they'll be good.
Yeah. And then to kind of close things off at about 7:30, we're going to show kind of a highlight video from the week, featuring all of our runners. And then we're going to have a film screening, which the film is actually still to be determined. We're going back and forth on a few different ones. Some about conservation, some about like the people who used to take boat tours down the Grand Canyon, some of the first guys that did that.
Oh, good.
Something about the national parks, or I lobbied for Coco, but I got shot down because Tana, who I work with to do the festival and everything, she's great, and she's a Kanab local. She says she's seen it too many times with her grandkids.
Oh boy.
So
wow. All right. Well, we'll find something really good. It's going to be really good on Saturday night, and everybody can relax and we can just celebrate all the accomplishments from the past 3 days. So we're going to kick it all off on Wednesday, September 30th, take you through the whole weekend that is going to be memorable, and it's really look forward to it. Don't be nervous. We're going to take care of you. Do come. Make sure you have some face masks with you, and to make sure you're, there and going to social distance, but yet not social distance so far that you don't go home with some new friends. You can still have new friends from 6 feet away, Dane. It's very possible.
6 feet is not that far.
It's not that far. It's really not. So it's going to be a great time. Is there anything else that you can think of before we wrap up that we need to hit on with our event schedule? Anything to remember when they're traveling in or anything like that?
Not especially. I mean, it's really all here in the race guide. We glossed over a lot of things, tried to add some color to some of the details that are easier to explain just by talking about them versus reading them. But really all the details are here in the race guide, including schedule and when to expect what, when you need to be where, how to get there. It's all in here. So just be sure, and if you're having any lingering questions, pull this up on your phone or print it out before you're taking the car drive that someone in the car can read it to you.
One thing we haven't talked about that people might be wondering right now is they're like, what, I'm camping for 3 days. Do I get to shower at all? We do have shower accommodations for you.
We do, yes. Yeah, we'll have, so the pool there at the park has a few showers, and then we'll also have our shower trailer. So someone comes with this really nice shower trailer and set up, and it's got men's stalls and women's stalls, and
it's not just a hose out back. It's very nice. So
no, it's a very, very deluxe shower. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be all the comforts of home. We do provide tents for those camping, but not any other camping amenities. So bring your own toothbrush, toothpaste, pillow, air mat, sleeping bag, things like that if you need them. A lot of people, I wouldn't count on getting to Kanab and then buying those supplies.
Right.
Kanab has grocery stores and things like that. But if you need a sleeping mat or a sleeping bag or anything like that, be sure and stop Walmart before in St. George is one of your last places to,
or Hurricane. There's a Walmart in Hurricane on your way.
Or in Hurricane, yeah.
That you're coming in on SR9. Definitely stop there because Kanab, outside of a small grocery store, you're not going to get too much.
Yeah. And if you need to stock up on any snacks or things like that, the days are very, very pleasant this time of year in Kanab. The nights can get chilly, not freezing temperatures, but cold. And so make sure that you've got, warm socks and a good sleeping bag, things like that to keep you warm at night. And then maybe, so on day 3, technically we're in Arizona. So when we get to that race, all your clocks are going to switch over and everything. And we're going to be an hour earlier than we are in Utah. Because Arizona does not observe daylight savings time. But all of our scheduled times in the race guide are still based off of Utah time, because that's where you'll be leaving from and everything. So that's kind of what we want you to operate off of the time in Utah, even though once you get to Arizona, it will be an hour earlier. Yeah,
we'll kind of hammer that home to you as well. And really, once you leave Kanab, it doesn't matter what time it is anyway. We'll just take care of you. Just get to Page and we'll take care of you. Don't even worry about what time it is, whether you're on Arizona time or not. But there are ways to make your phone stop from switching back and forth, and we'll give you some of those details the night before when we kind of deep dive every night on that location. So yeah, we'll help you out. But just know we're going to stay on Utah time the whole entire time.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we covered most of it.
I think that's it. We're going to have some fun. I've got some fun planned. You know, we have to keep our distance and things like that. So we're a few changes that way, but we'll have some fun things for you to do every day and to, you know, ways to get to know each other. And yeah, I was texting with Anna, she's on our marketing team. And I was like, Anna, we got to come up with some ideas, because I always like to have some ideas for the events and the days, and maybe give some different challenges out to make it a little more fun, that we're not just running, we're out there to have fun. You know, we're not just racing.
Those are great. Colleen she'll like say, okay, you know, I want to see a picture of this thing on course or whatever. And that's a lot of fun. And then we also at those nightly meetings, Colleen's always got games, like kind of get to know you games, but also ties them in with giveaways, because we do have lots of giveaways each night. We've got free race entries. We've got Hydro Flask water bottles, who's one of our sponsors. We've got lots of goodies to give away. So, be sure you're at those meetings and come ready to have fun.
Yeah, we'll have some fun things for you and do some fun things. We had an epic rock, paper, scissors event last year. We had like 150 people all playing rock, paper, scissors together, and we got down to just one person. I think we can do that. That's COVID friendly, because you're on your own hand. You're contact. 6 feet apart. So,
and I have to put my foot in my mouth, Colleen, because I kind of poo-pooed that idea. When you did poo-poo it.
You did.
That was so exciting. Especially with the lack of sports we've had this year. Yeah. This could be one of the most exciting. This could be one of the most exciting competitions that you see all year.
And I think what my plan is to try to get as many people involved as possible. Since we have a little bit smaller group this year, there is no excuses. Like, everybody is coming out for rock, paper, scissors. Yeah. It's going to be
Get out of your tents.
Yeah.
Put your plate down.
Yeah.
Stop what you're eating. Come down for the rock, paper, scissors competition.
It's going to be big. So we'll have some fun. We'll do some fun things.
ESPN is going to be there.
Yes. ESPN 2. We didn't quite make it on ESPN, like just the regular ESPN, but they'll be there. So it's good. We're going to have a great time. And if you guys do have any questions, please reach out to our team. You can always reach out to Kaylee at info@vacationraces.com. Of course, Dehn, if you can figure out how to spell his name, you can reach out to him as well. You can find it on the website. No, it's DEHN at vacationraces.com. And people hit me up on social media all the time. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because we're here for you to make it a great weekend. It's one of our favorite weekends. It's a lot of work that weekend, right, Dehn? We don't get a lot of sleep. We drive all around, but we have so much fun.
It is. It's a weird event, because it's like the hardest and most exhausting event that I do all year, but it's like it's the most fun. I think it's just because we, like you said earlier, Colleen, as a team, we get to work together for longer. And then we also just get to know the runners and spend time with the runners, which is great. And so it's a great event. We're really looking forward to it. I'm glad you guys would come run with us. Those of you that hung in there and stuck, those that deferred, no judgment. Everybody's in a different situation, and you got to do what's best for you. You can still defer if you're listening to this and you're like, oh crap, am I still registered for that race? You can still defer. And next year is going to be great, but this year is going to be awesome too. And we're just excited to be here putting it on, and that you guys would come run with us. We're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so it'll be good stuff. We look forward to seeing you guys in Kanab. And and if you have any other questions, please, again, reach out to us. And I think that's it. That's all we have. Do you have a joke to leave with? Anything? I mean, Dehn, you've got to have some terrible joke that we can end with.
Sounds like you do.
No, I don't have a joke. I have nothing. I'm putting you on the spot. I'm not the comedian. I need content. I have nothing. Come on, Dehn. I know you have a dad joke in there somewhere.
How about, what did one sheep say to the other sheep?
I don't know. What did he say?
Let's get the flock out of here.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to do.
Okay.
You've been listening to the Vacation Races and Friends podcast. We'd love your feedback. Email podcast@vacationraces.com with comments, concerns, or stories you'd love to share. Make sure to watch for more episodes coming soon to vacationraces.com. This episode was directed by Robin Rogers and produced by Colleen Rue in the Festival Sound Studio. For information about music licensing, contact Dehn at vacationraces.com.